What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here, and this is The Punisher, Season 1, Episode 3, Kandahar. So in this episode, we learn a lot more about Frank's mission overseas and what it actually entailed. In fact, we learn that he's actually the one that pulled the trigger on Ahmad, so yeah, that's pretty interesting. And while we learn a lot more about this mission and what it actually happened, still not really connecting overall. We still have some different stories going on that don't really seem connected right now. Even though they all are, it doesn't feel like they're connected. They're still on different pages. They've still got different information. So let's talk about each one. First, we'll talk about the little group that Curtis has going on. Billy Russo goes over to talk to him, kind of to remember, I guess, the good old days and remember Frank as well. So apparently Curtis is one of the few people that, is actually the only person that even knows that Frank is still alive because Billy's talking like he thinks he's dead. So he's apparently this little thing. I thought maybe it was an AA meeting, but it turns out it's actually more of a soldier return program. They're coming home from war and nobody's really appreciating them, so they're going to this little meeting to sort of talk things out. And I'll touch on this little group for just a second because, I don't know, it's kind of feeling like maybe they'll be important later, but right now they're still kind of not that important. There's this one guy, his name's Lewis. It feels like he's starting to become a lot more important because he's talking about, in this episode, how they were ambushed. Oh no, these people were killed, and they said it was an ambush, but it actually was friendly fire, from their own Hellfire missile. So yeah, it's kind of interesting to see that these guys each have different stories. They each have different circumstances that they're coming out of, and so each of them are trying to deal with it in their own way. Well, there's this one guy that's always talking. He was talking in one of the first episodes about how these bleeding heart liberals, they're ruining our country and all that stuff. Kind of what every liberal thinks conservatives are. But yeah, he's talking like he wants to start we need to protect our rights and shoot guns and everywhere. So Lewis is talking about this whole thing, and this guy pipes up again. He's like, we need to do something about it. And Curtis steps in to say, well, yeah, I actually agree. I feel like we do need to do something about it. Not necessarily what he's saying, but, I've started a second life for myself because I want to show people that this is not us. Just pretty much something along those lines. It was a good moral. But then this guy goes up to Lewis at the end of the meeting, he hands him a little pamphlet and just says guns on it. She's like, I think you should look at all this stuff, all this pansy bullshit. It's not even working. So, yeah, I don't know where Lewis's story is going. There's kind of an intense scene where he's having a nightmare flashback. His dad comes home and he grabs a gun and shoots at him and nearly hits him. So there's kind of like an emotional moment there where he's like breaking down, like, Dad, I could have killed you. And he's just like, no, but you didn't, son. And then he just runs out of the room. So I assume he'll start to become more of an important character as the season goes on. But for right now, he just kind of feels like he's this random guy that they're giving lines. As far as Curtis is concerned, like I said, Billy comes to talk to him. And then they go and they hang out a little bit afterwards. And they start talking about Frank and how they were the lucky ones because they got out of there before things got really bad. Some of the stuff that Frank had to experience. So I assume we'll learn a bit more about that, but we do learn pretty much what they were talking about when they're talking about we got out of there before it started. In this episode, Frank is having, I guess, some flashbacks to that moment whenever they were in a dire situation. So they go over there and they're part of this team. They're called Cerberus Project or something like that. And so basically it seems like it was sort of just this team of guys that were sent in to infiltrate and take out the enemy without anybody knowing it. They're kind of a little sneaky group that got in there. But there's this one mission where they've got all this intel. The guy who's kind of the head of the group is like, all right, I want you guys to go in and take care of the target. But Frank feels like, no, this feels too easy. I think it's a trap. But the guy that got the intel is just like so, I don't care about your opinion, and very arrogant. They're just like, go in there, I point, you go shoot now. And so, of course, they go in and get ambushed. So Frank manages to find a way out, but in doing so, kind of has to release the inner beast. This is probably the first time that the Punisher came out in him. He's taken out just all of these guys all single-handedly. And then after it's all said and done, you can see he's still just like almost feral. And so the guy comes in, the one that told him all to go in there. He's like, well, did you get did you get him? Did you kill the target? And that just sets Frank off. He punches him in the eye so hard that it just instantly just blood splatter. And it almost looked like, obviously it was probably CGI, but it looked like he got shot in the eye whenever he punched him. Like, that's how hard the hit was. So at that point, that's when Billy reveals, look, we're leaving. Maybe you should come with us because this isn't right. And so, yeah, it's interesting to see that this is what happened over there. Obviously we see the interrogation scene that Dinah saw on the videotape, and it turns out Frank is the one that pulled the trigger on Ahmad. And he also apparently pulled the bullet out to hide any evidence. And that's where things started to get questioned a little bit. It's like, are we doing the right thing, or are we just, doing something that we shouldn't be doing? And ultimately we find out from Micro at the end of this episode that there's no record of Cerberus Project. There's no record of them anywhere, which means they're practically just a hit squad that were hired by the American government to take out random targets that they wanted to take out. So, yeah, I find it very interesting, and I'm hoping we'll learn a little bit more about what exactly was going on, why they were tasked to do this, the people behind it. Obviously, it seems the goal right now at the end of this episode for Frank and for Micro is that they're just going to figure out what all happened and then take these people out so they can protect, obviously Micro's still got a family to protect, but, it's pretty much just exacting revenge on them for what they did. Because we do learn a bit more about Micro's story in this. He got the video of Ahmad's interrogation / murder and execution. And so he actually is the one that sent it to Dinah in the first place. And so he's out driving with his family one day. All of a sudden everybody gets stopped. And then he gets chased down by these guys who are like, put the weapon down, put the weapon down. And he's just like, what? And then gets shot and then falls in the water. But luckily, cell phone saved him. So, but yeah, it was an interesting episode as far as Micro and Frank are concerned. It seemed like a little bit of back and forth. It's almost like a, can you trust him, can you not? As I said in the last episode review, I do think he's a person that Frank will be able to trust going forward. I just feel like it's going to take some time, and sure enough, it took this entire episode. Finally, there's this little thing he has to do where he types in a code, he looks into this optic scanner, and then it shuts off this server that's going to send out video of everything that's going on inside this little bunker, which means everybody will see that Frank is still alive. So he has to do that every day. And then finally one day he grabs his pen and then presses a little button and then injects Frank with something that causes him to pass out. And then puts him on the bed and tells him, look, you just got rolled over by me. You need help. Just like I need you, you need me. I just found it kind of interesting, because Frank has seemed like the one that he's been in control this entire episode. He's been the one that's kind of interrogating him. He was talking about torture earlier on, how it's not a physical thing. It's more a matter of time, how much time has elapsed, you don't know, and that's the torture. But ultimately, he became a victim of that himself because Micro was playing him the whole time. In fact, he could turn off the computer thing anytime he wanted. But it sort of got Frank into this little rhythm of it, and that let his guard down in a key moment, and that's how he was able to get the jump on him. So, I don't know, I really like how they handle that. It shows that Micro is not just this weaselly little NSA guy. He actually is very smart as well, just as smart as Frank is, enough to at least get the drop on him. So, I think at this point, Frank will probably start to respect him a little bit more and will actually start, like you said, they're going to work together to kill them all. And Micro's just like, I'm okay with that, because he hates these guys just as much as Frank does. But he never had a chance to go after him. And now with Frank, as he said, as Frank is the missile and him as the guiding system, now he's got a chance to save his family from these people. So, yeah, I really like how they handle this episode with these two, sort of building the trust relationship. I'm fine with them spending an entire episode on it. In most other shows, they'd be like, God, we spent so much time here. But as I've said before in other Netflix Marvel shows, they have the time to do it. They spend an hour each episode, 13 episodes long for each season, and you've got plenty of time to really develop characters and develop relationships between characters. So I'm glad that they spent that much time on it. I'm glad they were able to really get that worked out between the two of them. The other thing to talk about is Dinah in this episode. So she's obviously taking over for Wolf after Frank killed him in the last episode. So she's trying to figure out, just what's going on, but in doing so, she's become very, very focused. Very what's the term? It's whenever the horse, tunnel vision. That's what it's called. But yeah, so she's got tunnel vision now. She's trying to figure out what's going on, but in doing so, she's almost kind of like pushing everything else to the side until finally Sam, her partner before Wolf was killed, he comes in and he sort of gives her a telling off. Just saying, look, you just become so focused on this, you're completely neglecting everything else, and now you're acting so arrogant about all of this. And so finally she does soften up a little bit. So I'll be interested to see where her story is going. Obviously, she's very concerned about who killed Wolf, even though she didn't really respect him. He was still her boss. They still worked together. So she didn't like him, she didn't respect him, but she still has to try to find out who killed him. As well as she's looking for the person who killed Ahmad. And I'm guessing all of this will lead her to Frank, but the question is, will she see that Frank is not the bad guy here? For Ahmad, he was just the hand, or not the hand, he was the tool being controlled by the hand. And will she see for Wolf that he was a dirty guy who was working for these people as well? And so, his death was kind of, not really, I wouldn't say justified, but yeah, his death was being involved with those people as well. So, I don't know. I'll be interested to see how she's going to tie into this episode, or out this season overall. She seems like she's just sort of, every single show on Marvel Netflix right now, they always seem to have that police officer that the main character can go to. For what's his name? For Matt, he's got the what's his name? The black guy. It's Foggy's friend. He's got him. Jessica didn't really have any cop friends to go to, but she did have her sister Trish, who was very heavily involved in the media. Obviously, Luke Cage had Misty Knight to go to, and I think even I'm trying to remember if Danny had anybody to go to for police. Maybe not. I'm pretty sure he had somebody in it. Oh, Jerry Hogarth, that's right. So everybody sort of has that person that they can go to that's connected to the law somehow, or to the public. And I'm wondering if maybe after she finds Frank and after she realizes that he's not the bad guy here, I wonder if she's going to be sort of his police force connection, that he'll be able to go to her for information while being able to stay out of the public eye. Maybe she's just going to be a cop that's trying to track him down through all of this. I'm not really sure, but I am interested to see, where's this going next, what's going to happen, because I still don't really know. I do have a sense of what this season is going to be built around now. It's going to be probably built around this whole Kandahar incident. Just this group, they're trying to cover everything up, obviously. They're killing off the people that were involved. They're trying to make sure nobody finds out about it. So obviously that's what this is all going to be built around. But the question is, what is this season going to be about specifically? What is it about this Kandahar thing? What are they going to try to do to cover it up? Why are they trying to cover it up so much? Those are the questions that are left unanswered, and those are the questions I'm going to be interested to find out. What exactly are they trying to do? What's their plan? How are they connected to everything in the Marvel Universe we know right now? Not sure, but I'm really looking forward to seeing what's going to happen next. Hopefully you guys are too. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. What were your thoughts on this episode? What do you think is going to happen next? Let me know. We can talk about it and discuss all that good stuff. Leave a like and subscribe for future Punisher reviews. I'll see you guys in the next episode. Peace out.